WBAI family, it's time for the Pastor's Corner, and we do have on the line the most revered and illustrious Pastor Nathaniel Townsley Jr. He's the senior pastor and presiding bishop of the historic St. Mark's Holy Church of America Incorporated, with international headquarters located in Brooklyn, New York. He founded the Lighthouse Church of Love and Peace, which was also located in Brooklyn in 1972. Under Bishop Townsley's leadership, the organization has expanded with churches, orphanages, and schools in India, Uganda, Ghana, Hawaii, and the Caribbean. The young elder Townsley was consecrated to the bishopric in 1982 by his father, the late Bishop Nathaniel Townsley Sr., along with Bishop James C. Forbes, the prelate of the United Holy Church of America and the Ecumenical College of Bishops. From 1983, he co-pastored St. Holy Church, the 87-year-old Mother Church, along with Bishop Thomas Jake Sr. Then in 1984, Bishop Townsley became the president and the presiding bishop, and through his visionary leadership, the organization weathered the storms of transition and with new strength moved forward. He has pastored for 40 years and held the office of a bishop for 30 years. Bishop Townsley's passion for evangelism, outreach, crusades, Bible study, and worship, coupled with his music ministry, has spurred continuous church growth. He is a compassionate and wise counselor, preacher, teacher, church historian, and mentor as he strives to equip God's people for the work of the ministry. This gentleman was a choir director and organist at the age of 14. It was a gospel music program on primetime television by the age of 19. Bishop Townsley and his singers have performed on the Jerry Lewis Telethon at the United Nations, the Lincoln Center, Carnegie Hall, and countless stages across the country. Bishop Townsley graduated from the High School of Performing Arts in New York City. He holds a Bachelor of Science degree in psychology from the College of New Rochelle. He's also the Master of Theology Studies from the Lagos Bible College. Also, he's excelled in 6 quarters of the clinical pastoral education at the Lutheran Medical Center. His work in the field has received attention, and also they've asked him to prepare all clergies of organized religion to serve as chaplains in the municipal, state, and federal institutions. We just want to acknowledge that he is married to the elect Lady Elder Mary Helen Eccles Townsley, former of North Carolina, and also Bishop Townsley. They have 3 wonderful children: Nathaniel III, Minister Kim Ebony Richardson, Jacinda Townsley, and 4 grandchildren. Welcome to High Praise with Daulton Anson here on WBAI. Good morning to you, Pastor Townsley, and how are you doing?
I'm fine. God bless you. Thank you for having us share with you this morning, and congratulations as you continue to do this great work.
Pastor Townsley, give a big praise out to your church and your church location and times of service.
All right. Clark Holy Church is located at 1980, that's 1980 Fulton Street between Rouse Avenue and Howard Avenue, Brooklyn, New York. And our key high worship services at 1 o'clock. We have a 10 a.m. with one of our churches, Pastor David Wood, True Gospel, 10 a.m. And in a few minutes, Bishop Coach and Destiny Ministry will share with us at our 8 a.m. service.
God bless you. Thank you so much, Pastor Townsley. The Pastor's Corner was created to the non-listener's ear that pastors really are working in the community beyond the 4 walls of their church. Pastor Townsley, I'd like you to talk about education reform that you've taken from out of your church and taken into community. Tell us a little bit about that program.
All right. After graduating from College of New Rochelle, I did a short stint of teaching in the public school from 85 to 1990. And also I ran for school board across town later on in District 19. So from the inside out, I have some idea of what's going on, working with parents, working with, as a school board member, we had to, during decentralization period, we had to hire principals, superintendents who helped hire principals, etc., work on school budgets. So I have some idea of the narrative of education in our city for quite some time. It's become very political because some people don't understand. Their dollar signs, their actual dollars on the heads of our children. And when they took decentralization away, the city powers had the ability to move educational money how they wanted. So that's really a rough challenge.
Yes.
And a lot of confusion because of all kind of political agendas and personal agendas. We work hard at helping develop young people to go into college and seek to become teachers, and we counsel them to surf and through the confusion in the educational system that gets changed, for a little while. These are the rules, and they change the rules, and there are exceptions to the rules, and they're really great people who want to educate our children, and our children certainly deserve the best.
Pastor Townsley, kind of explain some of the struggles that if the dollars are not there, what is really happening in our schools for those who may not have a child in school now? What are some of the challenges that have been ongoing now, especially with our new mayor we have in office?
Well, I'm very hopeful with our new mayor. I met him and knew him briefly. I met him a few times before he was even running for the office and some of his team. And so I'm hopeful and confident. You don't turn a giant ship around in the sea on a dime, but it will take time. But I'm confident that we'll be moving in the right direction. They're great teachers. They're great people who have not given up on our children or the educational system. Actually, the free educational system was made to help socialize. The goal of taxpayer money to underwrite and to pay for the free education is to help understand our society, help children become great citizens of our society. And that is still should be the goal. It doesn't get stated very much anymore. That's the goal. Children come in, and by the time they come out, they will know how to be good citizens, how to communicate with one another, how to work, how to find careers, how to better our community life in total. And press focuses on the negative so much, but there's a lot of great things that are going on. There are a lot of, it's a shame that the media, and that's why I'm glad to be a part of what you're doing, that the media is opening and leaving room to say what good things are happening and what scholarships are going on and what fraternities are putting money to help kids go through college, and churches that make sure that their children stay out of trouble.
Yes.
Not only just not do the bad thing, but learn to do the good thing, learn to have the good disciplines and to be courageous, build families, etc.
WBAI 99.5 FM. If you tuned in, this is the Pastor's Corner. The Pastor's Corner was created to highlight pastors who are doing positive things beyond the four walls of the church and actually helping in the community. And today we are interviewing Pastor Nathaniel Townsley Jr., Senior Pastor and Presiding Bishop of the historic St. Mark's Holy Church, which is located at 1980 Fulton Street, a corner of Howard Avenue. Pastor, you've spoken about education reform and the need of assistance, and we have not given up, and we still believe in our children. We can make them great citizens. With that being said, kind of explain your involvement in our police and our communities and the police that are in our communities and what you have done at St. Mark's Holy Church of America Incorporated to take your ministry from your church and take that into the community.
All right, well, not too long ago, I was working with Bishop Seabrooks, and others. We met with the previous police commissioner several meetings, and one of the things hopeful back then was, and it's not stated too much, but through housing police, a lot of the housing police are women and people of color, and through that, there developed new leadership for the police force. And the previous commissioner elevated those, and more are being elevated. So the new leadership that represent more people of color and women are helping to sensitize that institution of our police force. And so there again, I'm hopeful in the long run. We certainly have had a bad setback and snag recently. I'm old enough to know it wasn't the first time and probably won't be the last. But I'm hopeful as the new leadership continue to move up in the brass of the police and as we continue our dialogue, that there'll be great progress. There's already great progress under the skin, but it hasn't come to the full surface yet. But I'm here to say it will happen.
Dr. Townsley, you're saying because of the integration of the police department, the women officers now have been elevated and given more of a prominent position in the community. You feel this has more of a common effect than having male police officers in our community?
Yeah, leadership. It wasn't too long ago, and it wasn't in our major papers. I think it was the Village Voice. The other papers wouldn't touch it with the Tenso Polis about 5 or 6 years ago. A couple of policemen kept their cell phones on when they had their orders early in the morning, and they taped the police brass in that precinct, telling them things to do that were not only illegal, but had racial tones to them, ethnic tones, derogative statements. And the Village Voice printed verbatim these things. So when the police rank and file stood up and risked their jobs to expose some of the behind the scenes and to break through that blue wall, you know that's where that made a lot of progress. It was like the Rodney King video. And so it was exposed. And so that's where more dialogue began.
Yes.
But, sometimes it feels like 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. But it's happening. And during that dialogue, we begin to see changes, small changes being made. And now certainly after we have to calm down a little, and that's not easy when so many horrible atrocities are happening, but cooler heads will continue the dialogue. And the thing is not just to start something, but I like to always tell leaders to follow up and to follow through until we get to the bullseye, and we stay with it, and we're going to see major progress in New York City.
WBAI 99.5 FM. High praise for Daulton Anderson, the Pastor's Corner, interviewing the esteemed Pastor Nathaniel Townsley Jr., Senior Pastor and Presiding Bishop of the historic St. Mark's Holy Church of America Incorporated, 1980 Fulton Street, the corner of Howard Avenue in Brooklyn, New York. Pastor, you spoke about educational reform and the police and the community, and what has happened where some felt that police officers themselves felt that some things just had to be brought to light and change had to be made. And you spoke about the elevation of women police officers in the police force in our community. This has obviously happened over a period of time. In your own opinion as pastor, how far has the issue affected your church, and have you directly made kind of suggestion that made a change that you felt came out of your church?
Well, I was going to mention it earlier. When I was a young minister at a mission out in East New York, and on the Nuance Avenue strip, Tomahawk Gang had gone wild. Our kids out there, after school programs were shut down, et cetera,
yes.
The whole litany. And the movie across the street from my little mission was shut down because of the violence, and it was a bad situation. I just took my electric piano one summer and put it in front of the church and began to do music concerts in front of the church. One of the gang groups came by and they listened to the music, and something struck. And they came in and talked, said, "Okay, Rev, we're gonna stick with you. We're gonna quit doing what we're doing. What are we gonna do?" And I said, "Well, let's begin figuring this out together." So about a month or so later, another gang saw the newspaper talked about this conversation. They say, "Well, we didn't talk to that reverend," and they came to me and with violent words. I said, "Well, calm down, let's talk." They say, so they're young, they're kids.
Yes.
And I talked with them, and one fella, the tears began to, in my office, roll down his cheeks, and he wanted to lead his group. And we then put a 24-hour watch on the kids. So when people say these kids did such and such, we could say, no, we know where they were, and we then would stand with them in the courts.
Right.
And judges to allow. When the parents didn't have the money to bail their children out, they said, "Reverend Townsley," and we gave the judge our word that we would keep a watch on them.
On those children.
Yeah, and there was some rough times.
Yes.
Up close and personal, rolled up on our kids, and that's where community policing is a key. And I learned that over 30 years ago.
Yes.
That when the police know the children, and there's sometimes where police know the children, but somebody says, "Okay, we got to get X amount of arrests," so kids can be used in that. We have to take time with our children and watch them and be able to speak up for them, and parents, community leaders, and have that conversation with our children. But that's just part of the issue. We don't have time to talk about all of it. But that's one example of where, and now we teach other young pastors to do some of the similar things.
Wonderful. WBAI 99.5 FM in New York. The Pastor's Corner, interviewing Pastor Nathaniel Townsley Jr., the Senior Pastor and the Presiding Bishop of of the historic St. Mark's Holy Church of America Incorporated at 1980 Fulton Street, a corner of Howard Avenue in Brooklyn.
Yes, I just want to give a shout out to the memory of G2 Liuzzi, who's always been a good friend of WBAI, and his memory and the great work he did with WBAI down through the years, working with the community.
Pastor Townsley, we want to thank you so much for sharing and being part of High Praise with Daulton Anderson and being part of the Pastor's Corner. God bless you, Pastor, and have a wonderful service this morning.
Thank you. God bless you.